around me. Oh, sorry. And no, it's fine.
I like that you said to be the best of you, right? Because it's difficult, and I agree with you. It's hard to say becoming, the best, or thinking in terms of what that means. It's such a large scope, but being the best version of you and what you're capable of, I think that's an important lesson. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, I can't remember. I've heard that quote somewhere, and I've always kept it in the back of my mind. It's not to try to be better than each other. It's to try to be the best version of you. Mm-hmm. So every day I showed up, I would try to be the best. And it's like I said, it wasn't to be better than anybody else. It was try to be the best of me. So that really goes a long way in my career and how I handle things. And it's even in school, it's, there's people that are always going to be smarter than you or better at certain, I was never good at math. So there's lots of people better than math at me, but, I try to be the best and do what I could with, each subject, and same with racing, and it applies in life. I'm sure everybody here is like, oh, they got to do school, and, oh, it's so hard, and it drags on. And, it's now that I'm out of school and, have had a good career and I got a family and I'm raising kids. It's like, school was pretty easy. I wish I could go back. Not that I don't like where I'm at. It's just, it gets very surreal once, that chapter in your life's over. You tend to look back and realize, not that it's easy, but how much easier it is to be in school and not have to, care for a family. It's more than just you. So it's right. There's a lot of good life lessons to take away from school and apply yourself and to get the most out of it. I know I could, if I could go back, I would try a lot harder, a lot of different things at a young age. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, this is so racing outdoors. This was a childhood dream of mine. So like I said, I grew up racing motorcycles and have been around all sorts of different racing and genres of racing. And I never lost sight of always just wanting to race a dirt bike for a living. I just, some way or another, like I was going to make that my job from a very young age. Even though I wasn't good, I just stayed dedicated and never lost sight and never got, deterred off path. And I just happened to get good at off-road, and that's what I was ended up, making a living at and being able to be successful at. Racing outdoor nationals and motocross, it was more like a bucket list item for me. And I accomplished so much as a off-road racer that I just really wanted to have a shot and, just to, so I can go to sleep at night down the road and say, I did it. I gave it my best. I tried. And I had a really fun time doing it. Regret is, you miss 90% of the shots you never take. So I took my shot, and luckily KTM was willing to give me that opportunity to live out a childhood dream. And I made a ton of memories, met a lot of great friends, made a lot of new friends, and had an overall really fun time doing it. And, at the very highest level, it's very, very tough. And I took a lot away from it. Not that I didn't know how awesome these guys were in general. I've ridden with most of them quite often throughout my career. And so, I had no expectations of going in there and running it in on Ken Roczen or Cooper Webb, but to be out there on the track with them and, at Unadilla in 2018, actually being able to battle with some of them was really a highlight in my career for sure that I'll remember.
Oh, I can only imagine. That is awesome. I did not know that, Caleb. That's great. I love that. I can't even imagine what that's like for you, but I'm glad that you took that shot.
Yeah, it's like I said, I got an opportunity to do it in 2018 was my first one, and like this bottom left picture, um, the start of Unadilla is it happened to be muddy, and I was being an off-road rider, I was pretty good in the mud, and those guys kind of flounder around out there a little bit, so that it let me get in the mix and really have a good ride that day. I ended up crashing out of the second moto and injuring my shoulder, but it's a day that won't soon forget, and I had a blast doing it. And like I said, when you're up there and the realm battling with Eli Tomac and Kinney and Barsha, and it's for someone that doesn't do it all the time, and you get thrown into that position, it's pretty unique and a pretty special moment in memory and a place and time for me.
Awesome.
A long road there. So winning 8 consecutive GNCC championships was never the intended goal. It wasn't something that I was like, this is going to happen and it's destined to happen. Like there's no way that it's not going to happen. I remember winning one, and at the time I was like talking to my wife, I was like, yeah, that's really cool. I did it. I'd like to keep winning, but it was like, some guys, a lot of guys never win any more than one. So I was like, just to win one is successful and a job well done. And each year, like I just reset my mind and had a perspective and kept level headed. And that's what was really able to keep me at the top for so long and be able to win, multiple championships, let alone, 8 in a row. It was, like I said, it was never the intended goal. And every year just reset, never count anybody out, know my competition, and try to be the best version of me each year. And each time I practice, when you get on the bike, I always got on the bike for a purpose, and, was dedicated and disciplined, and, went to bed early. And there's so many different aspects that go into being successful and in sport and in your life. And it's just discipline and dedication. And with that and staying level-headed and trying to be the best version of you, like I keep saying that, but it's a good term, but it just got put together and I kind of snowballed the right direction. And, down at the bottom left is a few weeks after my second child was born, Collins. So that was in 2019. And then this picture of me on the right here is from 2015. That was a really big year for me in racing. I won 3 national championships that year in off-road, sprint enduros, national enduros, then GNCC. And my last 5 races, I did it on a torn ACL. I blew my knee out at the end of the year. And those championships, I had a big lead, but then it became unclear as to whether I was going to be able to perform at my best and actually get the job done. So it was a little bit stressful. It started out, all systems go and everything was feeling good. And then we got thrown a little curveball there towards the end and ended up hurting myself. And so I had to really dig deep and kind of salvage the end of the year. And we didn't have the greatest results, but it was good enough to get the job done and win three championships that year. So that was another year that stands out for me. That was, really special and a really cool moment in life. And it taught me a lot about myself and, staying present and, a good mindset will go a long ways.
And how about that trophy up there with the antlers on it? That's insane.
Yeah, that's one of my, I've got 2 of those. Yeah. So that was the X Factor GNCC in Indiana. It's a really cool trophy. I've got 2 of them. They're right here behind me, actually. You might be able to see the antlers right here.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, they're a little too big to hang on the wall, but yeah, it's a very, very cool, very unique trophy. A couple of my favorites that I have for sure. And that was also a really fun event there. We don't go back to that property anymore and race, but I really enjoyed that. And yeah, so I think I sent you guys that picture because I thought it was pretty neat, the deer antlers.
Well, I'm sitting here taking notes because, you know, we always come away with words of wisdom from each one of our presenters. So I love that you were able to stay level-headed and keep the discipline. It's hard 8 years in a row to stay disciplined and dedicated and level-headed and continually be the best version. So I know our audience are going to have some good questions for you about that.
Yeah, hopefully so. Like I said, I had a really good run, and it was never the intended. You know, in racing, it's the most brutal. In sport, it's the most brutal thing to do, because at the end of the day, there's can only ever be one winner. You know, one person wins and everybody else loses. That's just how it is. And so to be on the winning side more than not, it's very very humbling. And you know, I'm grateful for everything that's happened to me in my life. But you know, you got to always make the right choices and the right decisions to be able to put yourself in the position to have those outcomes and to be in that spot.
Yeah, 100%. Okay.
I got to move my stuff around here. Best tips to become one of the best in your industry. So this is would be basically a follow-up here to most of everything that I've kind of already touched on, but you know, because it's tough. You have to you know, have a great family and a support system around you, and be thankful for what you have, and not always, you know, want more. Wanting more is you know, everybody always wants, and you know, to go out and earn it is the biggest thing. Is put yourself in position to make the best decisions and choices, and go out and earn what you want. There's not too many things you'll ever get in this life for free on any sort of level. So to become one of the best in the industry is, you know, you go out and you make a good name for yourself, and you stay disciplined, you stay humble, you stay level-headed, and at the end of the day, you do all these things and you make good decisions, you know, you will be paid back for your efforts, and in some way or another, you know, results wise, or you know, being a good person, and just striving to be the best of you each day is key to all these things. And like I said, I've already kind of touched on everything up to this slide here, as far as how to get into this position. So it's a whole process to get there, and it's not one single step. It's a bunch of little steps in between to really maximize your potential.
Yeah, and it does all come together, right? All those things that you were talking about and telling your story, it does really come together, and it's all those little pieces and consistency with it all, you know, keeping it consistent. So
yes, yeah, very. I mean, that's a good word to throw out there, being consistent with what you do. And you can't build yourself up overnight. It's all these consistent little pieces of the puzzle you put together. You know, you do good in school. That's first and foremost, is to get an education as a young kid, and to be able to talk to people, and have an understanding of what they're saying, and you know, eating healthy, eating well, you know, sleeping good. It's you know, that these are all little consistent things that you know, you build into your daily routine and your life, and they mold you into the person that you become. And you know, you keep going, and overnight, it doesn't just all click and happen, but all these little pieces and being consistent with what you do is what leads you to success and becoming successful.
Just listen to
All right. Well, we appreciate that. And I think our next slide is going to open this up for questions. So this is my favorite part because we get to see everybody. And this is where, if you want to put it on gallery view up in the top right, you can actually, Caleb, you'll be able to see who's asking you questions. But go ahead and type your question into the chat. And then Tasha, if you're with me, we can kind of take turns monitoring the chat and calling people to go ahead and ask Caleb a question. I'm sure we've got some good ones in there.
Caleb, how about I will start off with a question. So on the first slide, you mentioned something about the 6-day race, the ISDE. Could you give, the students a little background on what exactly that is?
Yeah, so ISDE, it's short for International 6 Days of Enduro. It's held each year in a different location or a different country. It's one of the longest longest running off-road races in the world. I think the only year they missed was for World War II, one of those back in the early 1900s or not 1940s.
Come on, Caleb. This is for
yeah,
school.
I know. I'm a history guy. I'm surprised I messed that up that bad. I guess it would be early 1900s compared to what date we are in now. So, but yeah, so it's a tough race. It's 6 days long. It's an all-day process. Once the event starts, you have to work on your own bike. You don't have a mechanic. You only have certain amounts of time to work on your bike at these checkpoints, and then at the end of the day. So you got to maintain your bike, maintain your body. At the end of the day, you got to change your tires. So you got 15 minutes to change 2 tires, get them off the wheel off the bike, change a tire, get it back on. So it's a very stressful event, and a lot's gonna happen because you're on the bike from like 6 to 7 hours throughout each day. So the day as a whole, you'd start off in the morning at 8, and you'd take off and you'd make it to checkpoints. And each of these sections can vary from 10 miles long to 20 miles long. And within each of these sections, there is a special test, and that's where you get your cumulative time from. So all this in between, or all the race itself, the long distance part of it is, the attrition of the event and what makes up the event. But the actual race time is from these special tests within each section of the day. So there's usually 6 tests per day because there's 6 sections, and best time at the end or lowest time at the end of the 6 days wins. So it's very long, very grueling.
Yes,
it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work, but it's definitely it's one of those events that you'll question why you're doing it after you're done or during the event.
Awesome. Yeah, a lot of people I've heard talk about that, and all I can say is you'll probably never see me out there, but I love hearing the stories. So we have some, keep going, sorry.
No, you're fine. I was just we can have some more people question. I'm still trying to figure out how to get my view. There we go. I found it now. Gallery. Good.
All righty. So first up, we have Mason. Mason, if you'd like to come off mute.
Yeah, hello.
How's it going, Mason?
I was wondering, like, what a top training day looks like, or like your opinion or what you do when you train. Like, what do you get out of it, like, the most?
Yep. So this is, I can get this give you a very minimal answer or a very detailed answer, but I'll give you somewhere in between because it goes back to, like I said, being consistent. So in order to get the most out of your body and your day-to-day routine, you can't do the same thing every day. You'll just, so it's, you hear the word, more is better. More is not always better. So the first thing you got to do sometimes is like, I come from a hardworking family, and they're always like, do as much as you can every day, and just, but at sometimes, like, the more I've come to learn is, to stop digging a hole, you got to put the shovel down. So it's very unique process to do, to become a professional athlete in motocross and off-road. You got to be consistent with what you do. In the off season, it's more of a load, a lot more riding, more cycling, and gym. And then during the week, like when we race during the weekends, you got to make sure your body's ready to go on the weekends. So you can't do the same amount that you would typically do, or else you get to the race and you're tired, and an hour and a half in, you're kind of hitting a wall. So then you go back and like, well, what I do this week, and you're like, well, I tried to do the same thing that I would do when I wasn't racing. So it's a consistent mix of riding and riding for a purpose, not just out there kind of circulating, going through the motions. It's good to go through the motions and develop the skill, but once you get to a certain level, it's good to really maximize the effort and go as fast as you can all the time on a motorcycle. So that's where, and in return, that's kind of where I'm at in life, and why I was kind of started to retire from the sport. Is it was really tough for me to go out and make the most out of these practice days, and mentally it was harder for me to get myself in the position to ride the bike as fast as I could at each day. And you do it for a long enough time, it becomes harder and harder. And I find myself not wanting to do it as much.
Awesome question, Mason. Up next we have Jigs.
Jigs?
Yes.
Hey, Caleb.
What's up, dude?
I was wondering, what size CC bike do you run for the GNCCs?
I've always raced mainly the 350. So the KTM 350 XC is what I've mainly raced. I've ridden a 250 and a 150 before, but 95% of the time it's my 350.
Thank you.
Yep.
Awesome question. All right, up next we have Adrian. Sorry about that.
I was just wondering, how far can you jump?
Well, I don't know. Anything's possible. Depends on the jump. So I don't know. That's an open-ended question. If we had the right setup, the right jump, the right bike, who's saying we couldn't jump like 500-600 feet? I'm just kidding. I wouldn't jump that far. I'll leave that for Robbie Madison and Axel.
All righty. Up next, we have Nash.
What's up, Nash?
I was wondering, what's the longest race you've ever run?
The longest race I've ever run? Well, I've done the Perry Mountain 24-hour race before, with a team though. So that was probably the single longest time I've ever spent around motorcycles in one day. So that'd have to be my answer. Perry Mountain, and I'm actually getting ready to go to that same exact location this weekend for a race. So
there was a question from Adrian also about the 24-hour at Glen Helen. Have you ever done that one?
I've never done that one. No, I've been invited to do it with a team before, and I've never had the opportunity to actually go out and get to do it. So it would be a cool one. I think that'd be a lot of fun. I enjoy the 24-hour races because riding at night's unique, and it's something you don't do very often. The one I did do, Glen Helen would probably be pretty tough because I know at nighttime with lights, when it's dusty, like you can't see very far in front of you. So that might be a little hairy.
And it is dusty here in California.
Yes, it is.
All righty. And up next, we have Gavin. Gavin, if you'd like to come off mute and ask your question.
Hey there, Caleb. I was just going to ask, you said you eventually learned to make every day count on the bike. And I was just going to say I can sometimes struggle with mindset. Any advice with how to approach training and get racing with a good mindset?
That's a good question, Gavin. My best advice for that is, you find yourself circulating out there without a purpose, and you just got to keep asking yourself, what am I doing? Why am I doing it? What do I want to get out of it? These are good questions to ask and to stay present and in the moment. These are the same questions I ask myself daily when I was racing, and even still, with the work that I'm doing now, is why am I doing it? What am I doing? What am I trying to accomplish? And if you have a goal and you have, something obtainable to look at, it's much easier to see the bigger picture. So write your goals down and, don't flash them around, just keep them to yourself and read them often, and just remind yourself why you're doing it and what you want to get out of it. That would be my best advice, is to, that's a good way to kind of stay present in the moment and to remind yourself why you're actually doing it.
Thank you.
Yeah, buddy.
Awesome. That was a great question, Gavin. Alrighty. Up next, we have Jack.
Jack.
Hey, Caleb, what bike are you racing this weekend?
I'm racing my dad's 1991 National Enduro Championship bike. It's a 250 XC. Actually, it's probably an EXC. It might not even have had a title name back then. It was just a KTM 250 probably. It's old. We're hoping we make it through the race. It's something fun. It's my dad's 30-year anniversary from the day he won the National Enduro Championship. And I think it'd be really neat to kind of honor his championships while I'm still relevant and still capable of riding, and just go out and have some fun and try not to break my dad's bike.
That is so cool, Caleb. That is a cool story. 30-year-old bike, your dad's 30-year anniversary. I love that.
Yep. It's kind of neat. It's got a good little backstory on it. So yeah. I've been thinking about it for a while, just to get out and do it. And it makes more sense to do it now. It's the last chance I can do it this year. So I've already told too many people to back out now. So we're going.
Well, good luck.
Well, I appreciate it.
That's great. I love hearing that. All righty. Up next, we have Nash.
Oh, what age did you start racing?
I started racing when I was 4, but not very much. I say that because I had an AMA card since I was 4, and I went to, I would race. My grandpa had a track, so I'd basically just race at his track in Ohio. But I really didn't start racing. I didn't start following any series until I was probably 8 or 9. And then I didn't start racing GNCCs until I was 11. So that would have been 2001. So a long time ago now.
All righty, 2001. All right, that's a good while. All right, we have a question for Tasha, and I'm going to be asking, all right, what is your favorite race and why?
I've never been one to pick favorites. I always try to look at them. Each place is unique, and I try to get the most out of each one. If you start picking favorites and ones you don't like, it changes your mental attitude and how you kind of perceive each place. I learned my lesson at a very young age. I always hated when it was muddy, and it seemed like the more I hated the mud, the more races I raced that it was muddy. So I figured out a way. Just a quick backstory on why I don't do favorites and put too much emphasis on liking something over not liking something. But I didn't like the mud. Absolutely worst thing in the world. As soon as it would happen, just mentally destroyed, over with before the race even begun. So then I had a good race in the mud, and I was more carefree about what I thought about it. So I kind of realized this, and I started changing my mindset. And I was like, all right, you know what? Every race is the same. I like them all. There's not any that I like or dislike more than others. In my perceived conception, I just treat them all the same. I go there. I want to be the best. I want to do the best that I can. So in order to do that, they're all my favorite.
I think that's a great philosophy. It's kind of like when you show up at a track, it might be the right analogy, I don't know, but you know, everybody gets upset if there's certain riders there, and then you're already in this mindset that you're already defeated. Same thing with the track. So that's really great advice. We do have Shelby. Caden Braswell is raising his hand, so let's go ahead and call on you, Caden.
Not raising my hand.
You're not?
How does this? I'm sorry. I don't know how to work this page. I was trying to hit the camera button, but I've been stuck in like the person bar, I guess is what you're gonna call it. I can hear y'all, but I can't see it. So I've just been a little stuck. But I have a question for Caleb, if he's willing to take it.
Go for it. Yep.
What you think about the TLD gear, man? I know you've been wearing it for a while. What's your thoughts on that stuff?
Well, I can't speak too much about it now because I'm a Thor rider.
I know.
I did like Troy Lee. I did like the TLD gear. I thought it was really good stuff, to be honest with you.
Did you hear about their new helmet? What you think about that?
That's man, you're asking some stiff questions here.
Okay, all right. I'll stop. If you were to go back through school and you couldn't do public school. Now I know On Track has the best program for sure. Is that where you would be?
I would have to assume I probably would. I'm gonna look at getting my kids into On School here very soon. So I've got kindergarten right now. So and we're doing virtual school with him because I still travel quite a bit. So it'd be tough to put them in school and then take them out for, you know, a month at a time when we're in Florida prepping for the year. So we're going to be looking into On Track very soon.
That's good. Yeah, they do. Miss Andrea, correct me if I'm wrong, but y'all do from first grade all the way through, right?
Kindergarten. We actually have Miss Chantel LeBlanc is in our K-5 group. We have a lot of our teachers are moto moms that have their teaching credential. So yeah, we're here for you, Caleb, when you're ready.
Well, I might have to get my wife. Since you know, you're looking for more employees and moto moms that my wife went to school to be a teacher, so it might work out.
Bring her on because we're hiring. She needs to talk to Miss Tasha. Yeah. Well, that was a great question, Caden.
Yeah, it was.
Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Once we got past the conflicting gear sponsors, it was pretty good.
My daughter-in-law is Kylie Villapoto, so she's Thor. So I'll have to talk to her about that. She's going to set up my granddaughter in Thor gear, apparently. So small world, right? It's a small family that we live in Moto.
It ends up being very quickly.
Yes. Well, those were some great questions. We have a few more minutes, so if there are any other questions, this is the time to put them in the chat. And yeah, so while we're waiting for a couple more to come in, Caleb, I always take something away, and I've already given it away to you earlier. I always have a quote from everybody. And, you know, Ken Roxon's was, I'll never be the smartest person in the room. And I thought, what a brilliant thing to say. What a brilliant thing to realize that there's always something else to learn. And Travis is, of course, had to do with fear. Somebody asked the question, well, how do you deal with fear? And he said, you know, if you're afraid, then you've already lost. So he just does it. There is no fear for Travis. You know, if you get to the point where you have fear, then there's a problem. And your quote in our little webinar series will be, you know, be the best version of yourself. I think that's so important. I think we all in this racing community get caught up in what everybody else is doing, right? Where everybody else's achievements have gotten them. And the purpose of having these is to glean from them, to take something away that our students can apply to their life, even if it's life, right? Because before we're a racer, we're a person. And we appreciate that. That's awesome takeaway for me.
Yeah, no, thank you. Yeah, it's very important. Like I said, racing in my life, you know, I'm 30 years old and I'm retired, but I've still got lots of life to live. So, you know, racing, the actual aspect of me doing that was a very short span of my life. And I've got a lot more life to live, hopefully.
Yeah, of course. Of course, there is another question from Tyler. His mic's not, he doesn't have a mic, but he would like to know if you've ever thought about racing a Supercross race.
Thought about it. Yeah. It seems like fun. No, I've ridden some Supercross, like you know, here and there as far as riding it. That's fine. Doing the jumps is fun. I enjoy that aspect of it. But as soon as you start going fast and then you put those people around you, I'm not used to it. That's where I kind of draw the line. And the fun turns into not so fun for me. And like I said, I didn't grow up doing it and surrounding myself with all these people. So as soon as I get confined into a small box and I'm not in my environment, things change and happen a lot quicker than I'm used to. So like I said, if I grew up doing it, it would be a different story, but that's how life is. You know, you do things consistently and in one direction and you get used to it and what's in your environment. So for me to, you know, go and throw myself into the deep end and something like that, I'd be in over my head.
I hear you. That's a whole nother animal for sure.
Yeah.
And Noah McCabe wants to know if you miss Ohio.
I don't want to offend anybody, but I don't. It's there's nothing wrong with Ohio except the snow and the rain. I think that's Bowling for Soup says that.
All right. And then we have a question from Nash's mom. If you'd like to come off mute and ask.
Yeah. Hey, Caleb. Thanks for doing this tonight.
Yeah, no problem.
You know, Nash, with the reason he asked, we wondered when you started writing, because he got started late in the game. You know, I assume 7 is a little late in the game, but he's in public school, doing great, has great friends locally, but we're looking at On Track as he pursues his career in this, because he just got his first 85 and he's pretty anxious about it. But do you think that taking away from public school, if you're in straight A's and you've got good friends, I mean, you know, that kind of thing as a parent, super concerning. And that's why we haven't, you know, taken that route quite yet. And I guess as a parent now of Collins and crew, like I heard you say, and I jumped on after this, you're going to pursue On Track with your kids. With someone who's as devoted as our children to the outdoors and this kind of thing, you love this program, you would vouch for it 110%. And it is something that won't take away from those relationships, or did it from you as you were growing up? That's kind of a loaded question as a parent, but.
Yeah, that's for me, I'm thinking of, you know, going this direction with our kids for the simple fact, you know, school has changed a lot, the schooling system and the things that they're teaching and how they're going about it. And, you know, my parents were very against, you know, homeschooling, and that was kind of just starting, you know, when I was young, the internet was just kind of getting off the ground. So there wasn't any real programs like this until I was, you know, in my last few years of high school. So it was a, you know, kind of a hard no, and they grew up old school and in their ways of how they perceive things. And, you know, my dad was frustrated when I told him that we were doing virtual school with crew. And I was like, well, you know, it's like, you know, school isn't the same as it was 20 years ago, and, you know, what they're doing and how they're teaching kids. So for me, it's, we go to the races every weekend. Our kids are around other kids, and, we're very active as well. So, he still has friends in this area but he doesn't necessarily have to go to school with them. He's still enrolled in sports here. And like I said, we know at the races, like, they're out doing their own thing all weekend long. I'll see crew maybe 2 or 3 times, and that's to come get something to eat and go right back out. So it's, I think for me personally, it's having more of a communication and knowing who you're dealing with and the people you're dealing with is what I am going for, and helping my kids have to grow as little humans and people, is to know the people that they're surrounding themselves with and what they're learning and getting out of it is what I feel is important.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. As we look forward to next year, this is just one of the paths we're going to take. We just wanted to make sure he got straight A's in 6th grade before we moved forward and didn't put too much pressure on our family. So thank you so much for being a good mentor. I'm going to give it back to Nash now.
Yep, no worries. Thank you.
All righty. And it looks like we have one more question from Wyatt. He has his hand up.
All righty. Wyatt, can you hear me?
If you'd like. No, I think he might not have a question. He might have had his hand up by accident. Let's see.
All right. That was a great question. Nash's mom. I'm sorry, I don't know your first name. That was a great question. I could tell you a little irony here, because definitely this isn't a commercial for On-Track School. This is just a community, a caring community that comes together, because Moto, no matter what form you're in, is family, right? So about 17 years ago, when my son Michael, who became a professional supercross racer and raced GPs in Europe and all the countries and did well, top 10 rider here, top 5 rider in Europe. When he was in 5th grade, my husband said, "You are going to have to start homeschooling our kids." And I said, "Over my dead body, I'm not going to homeschool our kids." Because back then, like Caleb was saying, it was different. And where we lived in the mountains, the kids that were homeschooling their kids, they were skinning bobcats and all kinds of things. And I was scared of what homeschool looked like. But the reality was, and this is a true story, the reality was that we were not playing in our backyard anymore like when we played t-ball. We were going to Tennessee, to Loretta's. We were going to Florida. He was winning championships with Team Green. And I thought, oh my gosh, my husband's right. And then I started looking for a program, and I wasn't satisfied with here's your packet, and then you come home and you didn't learn anything. And I realized that the social aspect wasn't the problem. The education was the problem, because we were leaving school and going back and missing so much, and teachers really not understanding that motorcycle racing was indeed a challenging athletic sport. So thus On-Track was born to solve that problem. But I just wanted to share that story, because I do understand that that's a difficult decision for all of us to have to make.
And I agree with you. Thank you for sharing that. We live in the mountains, so it's not like we have a neighborhood. And coming from downtown Asheville, where Nash had a skate park and a bike park and all this stuff, I mean, he hits the road on Thursday and we're not back until late Sunday night. So, these are the tough decisions as we move into him making this commitment. And this is the only program so far that's impressed me, because I work in law enforcement and the school system. And we just wanted to join in tonight because Rob's dad, like Caleb, didn't have this opportunity as a pro athlete. And I'm old school too. I'm probably could be Caleb's mom, but yeah, so that's a big thing for me, is just trying to figure out what's going to work best for him, and traveling and staying in that education, because he wants to go to college really bad. So thank you for sharing that story. It means a lot.
Well, absolutely. And we made sure that we were accredited, so college isn't a problem. But if you ever want to reach out to any of our team members, Tasha Renfro, our operations coach, is with us. Just go to our website. We'd be happy to spend some time with you.
Will do. Thank you very much.
You bet. You bet. I think Noah has one more question, Caleb, and then we'll sign off. Do you like GNCC or Sprint Enduro better? Great question.
I like Sprint Enduros a little bit more because it's a little less work, and we're all human at the end of the day. So anything that's a tad more appealing and less work, we're probably gonna, lean that direction. So I like both of them though. Sprint Enduros, they're completely two different formats, as you know, because you're asking the question. But I enjoy Sprint Enduros quite a bit. They're really neat. I'm glad we finally got to. We've only had a series around for 5 years now, so I enjoy those a lot for sure.
Awesome. Thank you, Caleb. We appreciate your time. We appreciate your story. Best to you and your family. Good luck at that race this weekend. Oh my gosh, that sounds like quite the race. So keep us posted on how you do, okay?
Yeah, we'll see. I'm just hoping I don't break the bike. it's almost an antique now, so got to take it easy on it.
Yeah, I hear
It'll be fun. But thank you. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it, and we'll see you guys soon.
Okay. Good night, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.